All right.
So fish.
Are you guys nervous?
Yeah.
I'm
nervous.
I'm nervous.
Welcome to the very first episode of the long overdue Business Hacks. Sick. I guess maybe we should explain the name Business Hacks. The name I made up.
Yeah.
But
we all hopped on it.
Yeah, I think for me it was
Are you
always.
sure that you were the one that came up
I
with
know,
it?
but
I don't even remember.
For me, it was just like I feel like day to day. I feel like such a hack. Like I'm making
Making
this up.
Yes.
And everyone's like, "Oh, your sounds so good. Your branding's so good." But like, I'm literally every day making this up. And like, we get a phone call from the city. It's like, "You're in trouble." I'm like, "I don't know what I'm doing." And like, Eliza's like, "You forgot this." I'm like, "I don't know what I'm doing." Like every day. So for me, that's what the name Business Hacks.
I like it even more now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think too, like, was it you were saying, Sarah, that you listen to a lot of business podcasts and there's like there's like so many things out there about how to start a business.
Yeah.
But nothing really past starting.
No.
And especially like one for young people, two, like for us, females.
Yeah.
Also too, we're all kind of in a unique situation that we're like in business with our spouses as well. And so like we just always end up going out for dinner or being at home and we just end up talking about business for 5 to 6 hours. So we're like, why don't we just film this and make something out of it and hopefully somebody else can actually get something out of it.
Yeah.
I think that's a good segue to kind of like maybe introduce people. We are not all spouses. You said we're in business with spouses. I was like, this is a good time to. You're my spouse.
Yeah. You're my spouse, but
spouse.
you're not
You're
my spouse.
Wow, we are off to a great start.
Great.
Whatever. I was just trying to do
It's a good segue though.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
The Santoses. We were discussing this plural of Santos.
Yeah.
Just
What is it?
Santoses,
The Santoses.
Santoses. The
Huh.
newly.
Why did I think it was like you don't add the S? Like it was like Santos apostrophe.
You say. I think that's in English. You say it Santoses, but like when you write it down,
You don't put the S.
put the extra S
I
because
should know this
because it
since I'm
has
Santos
an S
now.
already at the end, but then it doesn't have a vowel, or it has a vowel before the consonant. Something like that.
No.
Okay. So the Santoses, the newly married. When did you guys get married? I was there.
July
Okay.
27th.
Do you not remember that?
Did you remember?
And then so Liza and I are married. She's the entrepreneur of us. She made me who I am.
Ooh.
Yeah.
And then Sarah and I are stepsisters.
Yeah.
And that's how we met. We always heard of this infamous like, Dave.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, you're gonna really like my sister. Like she's amazing. And we're like, yeah, sure. Like,
Yeah.
And then we really did.
We'll see.
Yeah. Stepsisters later in life.
Yeah.
Yes, much later in life.
Okay. I would love to like just go around and.
Tell people what we do.
Yeah, tell people what we do. Maybe ladies first. We'll start with Sarah. What business are you currently running? And then I would like to hear like how you got into like how was this your passion? Like,
Okay, so here comes my like talking voice. Okay, so I am the founder of Rebel Girl. I got into, and I guess I'll say Rebel Girl is a period-proof underwear company that is super badass. It's the best thing ever. It's super inclusive. It's a product that's really needed in today's world. I started it, and such a, like, I don't know, story I tell all the time, but I started it as a school project, and it was called Rebel Girl as my school project.
Didn't remember that.
Yeah, it was called Rebel Girl.
Was that the runway one?
We went to her
the
graduation.
runway one. Yeah.
I didn't know that was.
Yeah, it
okay.
was called Rebel Girl. 2 of the styles we still produce that I like made in school.
That's so crazy.
Have you paid off your school just with those 2?
I wish. Far from it. Good God.
That's a dream.
One day we will. One day we will.
100%.
But
That's actually
that's
such a good goal to have.
Yeah.
To pay for your school with your school project.
Yeah.
With your school project.
Yeah, one day. For sure we will. But yeah, so, and it was just a project. There was no function. I mean, there was function in it, but it was not a sellable garment when I created it. It was an idea. And then we just, like you guys went to the fashion show where it walked on the runway, and then
which
I
you
would
almost didn't get
which
into
I almost
the fashion
didn't
show.
get. 2 days before the fashion show, my teachers were like, "You're not gonna walk. You're like, your stuff is not gonna walk down the runway because you're showing nipples through your bras." And I was like,
was this right in the middle of like Free the Nip?
It was like basically like, it was maybe a little bit after for the nipple. And I was like furious because I had shown them my designs like 8 months prior, and all my designs got accepted. Nothing was like, nobody said anything about it. And then it was 2 days before the show, and they're like, "Oh no, like there are children at the show." And I was like, "They know the nipple the best." So,
they've been there.
Yeah, they've been there. But basically, I just had to do a little maneuvering and cover up the nipple, which really pissed me off.
Yeah.
But it was that or not graduating, so it was like,
and now you're a legend at your
now
school.
I'm a legend. And the year after, nipples went down the runway.
What?
Yeah. So I set a precedent.
Did like some higher up staff members change?
No, it was an accidental. Like it started as an accidental thing, but it happened. So I was like, yeah. I felt like I helped them get there.
How'd the name Rebel Girl?
Oh,
I actually don't know this story.
Oh, it's kind of a good story. So I was watching a documentary, which is called The Punk Singer, and it's about Kathleen Hanna, who is the singer of Bikini Kill. And it's like a 90s punk band. Most notable song is Rebel Girl. And so I was watching the documentary. I loved the song and like Bikini Kill like years prior, and then I just like loved everything that documentary was about. It was about like feminist, like badass girls, and then I was listening to the song and they played it in the documentary, and it's like, I can't remember what the lyrics are, but essentially it's like about a rebel girl, and then it talks about the revolution in her hips. And I was like, "Oh, this is oddly fitting."
Yeah.
And then I literally just wrote on a piece of paper, "Rebel Girl," and then "revolution" underneath it. And then I just scratched out "rebel" and just wrote "rebel." And then that was it. It was just "Rebel Girl." And I was like,
awesome.
I had
that's
no idea where it came from.
Which is so crazy because I feel like naming your business is probably one of
the hardest
things to do.
Yeah.
And the fact that just like,
it just happened. I had like written probably 300 names prior to that.
Yeah.
I hated all of them.
Yeah.
And then I was just watching this movie and I was like, "Oh."
And
like,
then when you know,
and
know,
then and I haven't had a single doubt since.
Yeah.
Like I just wrote it and that was it.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah.
And then what was a success for 2018 for Rebel Girl?
2019.
2019.
As we're entering 2020. Oh man.
I said 2018.
You said 2018.
You said 2018 for the second time.
2019.
But oh man, there are so many.
Yeah, I mean, we went full time.
Oh yeah, that's definitely like, oh, they're. You know what? No, my biggest I think, success for 2019 is we were the very first period underwear company to go tax-free.
Yes.
That
was
was
crazy.
Yeah, that was amazing.
Okay,
That
so
was
explain
definitely-
that process and why tax-free. And like, what is it? What is that whole
So tax-free, essentially like disposable menstrual products fall under category of medical devices. Medical devices like crutches and those kind of things don't get taxed because they're like seen as a necessary product. This is only in Canada. A lot of U.S. States and stuff still don't have that. California just passed it, but only for 2 years, which I haven't actually looked into why it's
You
only
get
2
a
years.
2-year break.
Yeah, and that's literally
That's
it.
so
You
bizarre.
get a 2-year break. But there's like a couple, usually blue states that are tax-free. But in Canada, it's been, I think, like 5 to 10 years that we've been tax-free. Prior to that, it was taxed. But it was like literally me calling like the government being like, this product should be tax-free. No other period underwear company had ever been tax-free.
Which, first of all, calling the government.
Okay, what does that even mean?
First and
The
foremost?
government.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, exactly. Like, what does that mean? So I was like, okay, well, GST, like, they're the ones that are collecting the taxes from me.
Right.
So I was like,
Which I just feel like that in and of itself is a crazy success because, let's just face it, like, calling and talking to a government
is not
an enjoyable process. So the fact
not
that you
something you
did
usually
that,
seek out.
Yeah.
So I think it started with I requested some stuff online. Then I ended up getting like an agent that was like in charge of seeing whether this was like a legit thing. I'd never met him, but I talked to him over the phone. He was probably like above middle-aged man. He had never heard of period underwear. He didn't even know pads and tampons were classified as tax-free. He was like, I had to give him the article number where it says that it's tax-free.
Yeah.
And he was like, looked up, he's like, oh, yeah, it is tax-free. Okay. And
Surprisingly, that's common for the CRA.
yeah, they don't know anything.
Yeah.
So yeah, he called, I don't even know how many times he called me. He would call me like randomly. He'd be like, so I was on your website again, and explain to me again, what do you mean they just wear the underwear? I was like, yes, Cash, it's just underwear you wear. Explained the whole thing. And he's like, so they put a pad. And I was like, no. They just wear the underwear. I was like, you know how some people just wear a pad? You just wear the underwear. And he's like, oh, okay. And then like literally like 2 days later, he'd be like, okay, I was on your website again. Now you say heavy protection? What is heavy protection? And I was like, well, when you have a menstrual flow, there are days that are heavier, and then there are days that are lighter. And he was like, oh, okay. And I was like, so you know how there are maxi pads, and then there are panty liners? Well, we have like different clothes. Yeah, so I'm like explaining to him why we would have like heavy protection underwear and light protection underwear. And he's like, because essentially to be tax-free, you have to prove that the customer can wear the product on its own. So I had to explain to him why we can say a light protection can be tax-free, because it would only really be worn on a light day, you know. So it's like just like a panty liner.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that was a really, really interesting experience. I bet he was super open to learning, and eventually he's like, yeah, this is the totally tax-free product.
That is so cool.
And then from there,
That's
after GST, I did PST, and it was all done.
And so are you guys still the only company that is
We are
tax-free?
still the only Canadian
company
that's tax-free. There, like I said, in the U.S., the companies are more actually restricted, that they can't be tax-free. In Canada, there's, in my opinion, no reason why another period underwear company should be taxing.
Right.
You don't
and
need
there's
to.
several other
There are several
companies out there who could. who are bigger than us who definitely.
They probably just don't know. How
Yeah.
did you think of that?
Because
Like-
I was just like, I know pads and tampons don't get taxed.
So like you go to Shoppers Drug Mart,
Yeah,
you ring it
but
through,
mind you, like, well, that's the thing.
and $7.99 is $7.99.
Yeah,
Okay.
most people don't actually know because usually you buy it at a grocery store. So all your things just end up on the same bill. You don't really actually know.
Yeah,
It's
no.
only if you go and buy the single item that you
Interesting.
might notice that it's tax free. But I think I just knew that in Canada it was tax free. Probably just I read about it or something. So I'd known that it was tax free. But yeah, it's really. I think that was probably one of the best things.
That's really
Yeah.
cool.
That-
And then 2019 was also the first year that you and Mayo did it full time.
Yeah.
Did Rebel Girl full time.
Yeah, I mean, we'd been doing it full time and then
And
also
also
working,
working.
but yeah, we're just not also working somewhere else.
Somewhere
Yeah.
else, yeah.
Which I think is, like, again, when we were first talking about doing a podcast, again, something that we were also looking for was, like, you know, that there's lots of people out there that are doing their side hustles and stuff like that, which is amazing. And everyone starts there. But I think, you know, when the rubber hits the road and you're actually, like, putting all your chips into this one thing and you're like, this has to work.
This
Yeah.
is my
This is
livelihood.
all I am doing.
Yeah.
So, like, that's just, it's at least been cool for, like, Rob and I to watch
So cool.
you guys, like, grow into that.